Welcome everyone to another edition of the Best Damn Baseball Show here on Best Damn Sports. I'm Ash, and I'm going to run down all the games for you for Tuesday, June the 10th. And here we go. We'll just start right away. Leading off the day's slate of games will be Detroit at Baltimore at 6:35. So you don't have to set your fantasy lineups early this week on a Tuesday. But anyway, Detroit at Baltimore at 6:35. Sawyer Gibson Long is going to be facing Cade Povich in this one. Cade Povich's earned run average is 5.11, but that's a little deceiving because his FIP is just 4.26 and his expected FIP is 3.92. He's striking batters out at a rate of 9.27 Ks per nine. So Cade Povich is really getting it done as far as being able to retire batters on his own and that kind of thing. So I think that he's going to be seeing some positive regression in his ERA over the course of the rest of the season. Basically, I like Cade Povich and think that ERA is going to come down the rest of the way. Moving along, we've got Cincinnati, the Reds facing the Cleveland Guardians at 6:40 up there in Cleveland on the lake. Andrew Abbott is going to be facing Slade Ciccone, and Andrew Abbott, what can we say about him? He's having a career year, one of the candidates for the National League Cy Young with a 2.18 ERA, facing off the youngster Slade Ciccone with just a 4.87 ERA. So in that one, I definitely am leaning toward Abbott as far as the two pitchers are concerned. The Reds did beat Cleveland on Monday 7-4 and have won 4 in a row now. So the Reds are moving along really nicely at the moment, and we'll see if they're able to continue that in the battle for Ohio tomorrow or today, I guess, is when this is coming out. But anyway, Miami at Pittsburgh at 6:40. You'll have Sandy Alcantara against Mitch Keller. This sounds like it'd be an A-rated pitching matchup a couple years ago, but of course then Sandy got hurt, missed all of last year, and Sandy, his velocity has been pretty good. Just some of his stuff has not necessarily been there. Last time out, he looked pretty good. So we'll see if he's able to build off of that last outing. And then facing Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller is one of those guys that kind of goes under the radar with a 3.26 X or FIP on the year. That's fielding independent pitching. And all these game times, mind you, are Eastern time. That way I don't have to adjust anything as I'm going through, and you can kind of do the math on your own to figure out what time that is in your time zone. I don't know where you live. The Pirates, by the way, they won 10-3 over Miami on Monday, which is 4 in a row for the Pirates as well. So both the Pirates and Reds now streaking with 4 wins in a row for each of those squads. And the Pirates spoiled the return of Yuri Perez. Yuri had he looked good in the first couple innings. Just allowed some weak contact and that kind of thing. And then the Pirates kind of got to him in the third inning. But first game back since 2023. Looking forward to seeing more out of Yuri Perez and what happens as he move forward. At 6:45, you have a couple of heavyweights with the Chicago Cubs going up against the Philadelphia Phillies in Philly. With Colin Ray and Mick Abel on the mound. Mick Abel is obviously a young phenom. He has not issued a walk yet in his major league career through 2 outings. This will be his third start so far in his career. And right now he's got a dominant 0.79 ERA. Can he continue that against PCA and the like of the Chicago Cubs? We'll see, but that's definitely a game to keep track of on Tuesday. The Washington Nationals at the New York Mets at 7:10. This is going to be a really great pitching matchup. And I would have never thought so, 3 or 4 months ago, because you got Mackenzie Gore versus Griffin Canning. What? Griffin Canning? Yep, Griffin Canning, the same guy that was traded for Jorge Soler. I had to think about that. In the offseason, the Angels traded him to Atlanta for Jorge Soler. It was just a pure salary dump by the Braves. They'd probably like to have him back, though, by the way. And then the Braves just let Griffin Canning go. They didn't see a position for him in the organization, so they let him go. The Mets scoop him up, and now he's got a 2.9 ERA, just cruising for the Mets. Helping out that rotation that desperately needed him. The Nationals have Mackenzie Gore on the mound, like I said, 2.87 ERA, former first-round pick, looking like a former first-round pick. He is just cruising on the season. All right. And then next up, you've got the Tampa Bay Rays at the Boston Red Sox at 7:10. Ryan Pepio in his 3.20 ERA against Lucas Giolito. Been some struggles on the year with Lucas Giolito. I saw some fantasy owners saying they weren't even going to start him tomorrow. So that'll be interesting. The real key, the real interesting part to focus on with this game, though, it'll be Roman Anthony's second game in the big leagues. On Monday, his stat line looked at like an 0 for 4 with a walk and a strikeout. So not really, anything to get excited about. But it was his first game, his debut. So we'll see what he does on Tuesday, and hopefully he has a big game to get those Boston Red Sox fans cheering and excited. Moving along, you've got Atlanta at Milwaukee at 7:40. Grant Holmes versus Quinn Priester. Kind of an interesting pitching matchup. You've got Grant Holmes with a 3.99 ERA. I ranted about the Braves yesterday a little bit, but I have to give them their kudos because Alex Anthopoulos and his crew were able to spot a guy off the scrap heap, basically, last year, and then actually figured out a path to making him a starter. The 29-year-old is just cruising so far this year with a really good performance for the Braves in a season in which they really needed it, having Spencer Strider just coming back from his Tommy John, and then having all the other injuries that they've had and everything whatnot. But then Quinn Priester also not to be outdone with a 3.88 ERA. He's kind of been a pitch to contact guy, only striking out a little over 5 batters per 9 innings. So interesting matchup. Kind of an under the radar, interesting matchup, in my opinion, especially when you pivot to our next game. The New York Yankees are going to be playing in Kansas City against the Royals at 7:40. And oh my, you have Max Fried going against Noah Cameron. I mean, who would have thought this was, a pitching matchup that you'd be really getting excited about just not too long ago? Max Fried pitching like an ace, so that goes without question. But the other side of that, Noah Cameron, through his first 5 starts in the big leagues, a 0.85 ERA. Oh my goodness, this guy is exciting. So far in the big leagues, though, he hasn't struck a lot of guys out. But in AAA, he was over 10 batters per 9 innings that he was striking out. So I do expect to see him get a few more strikeouts as he progresses through in future starts, perhaps on Tuesday. We'll see. Jack Caglianone, the hyped lefty slugger for the Royals that came up a couple of weeks ago, is still yet to get his first career home run. So we'll see if he's able to do that against the Yankees on Tuesday night. At 7:40, also, you've got the Texas Rangers against the Minnesota Twins with Tyler Mahle with his 2.02 ERA. And the Minnesota has not announced their starter for Tuesday, so don't know who that's going to be yet. But Tyler Mahle, he came back from injury again and has really looked dominant this year. Really excited about that for him and the Rangers fans. I feel like Mahle is one of those guys that always kind of goes under the radar, and so it's good to see him having that success. Toronto is going to be in St. Louis for another game on Tuesday. And this one's like the seniors tour as far as the pitching matchup. You've got Chris Bassett and Miles Mikolas facing off. Bassett with a 3.56 ERA and Miles Mikolas with a 3.96. I mean, these are two guys getting it done at the ripe age of 36. I mean, what in the world is going on here? These guys are just killing the league, no matter how old they are. I mean, it's an awesome matchup, and I think that'll be fun to watch the stat lines as the game goes on tomorrow. And both of those teams looking like surprise potential postseason candidates, as both are sitting there right there in contention for their divisions and for the wild card. So that'll be great to pay attention to that. As anytime you can't win the division in June, but you can lose it. So we'll see what happens. Chicago White Sox are at Houston at 8:10. This is a really fascinating matchup to me because you got Lance McCullers Jr., who went so long with all the injuries battling back, and he's finally back this year, pitching solid. It kind of been up and down, really. At 4.44 ERA, and he's going up against a Rule 5 draftee from this offseason, Shane Smith. And Shane Smith has looked dominant as a young rookie out there with a 2.45 ERA. You think that the Milwaukee Brewers are wishing they hadn't exposed him to the Rule 5. I mean, Shane Smith has been looking really, really good out there. Interesting to note, on Monday, the Chicago White Sox let it be known that they are promoting Grant Taylor, a 6'3" righty out of the LSU, to the big leagues, who they have converted to the bullpen. He's always had an electric arm, battled injury problems, but I expect him in short order to be competing as the closer for the White Sox. They probably won't do it on, his first on his debut, but over the next few weeks, look for Grant Taylor to slide into that closer role for the White Sox, as this guy is electric. Like I said, he's a 6'3" righty out of LSU, who, by the way, is going to be in Omaha next week as they are competing in the College World Series. So that's something I'm excited to watch in the next week or so, is that College World Series. Spinning off over here to the 8:40 game between San Francisco and Colorado. You got a couple of young guys, so that's going to be interesting with Kyle Harrison against Carson Palmquist. Kyle Harrison's looking really good for the Giants. 4.34 ERA, but I think he's looked even better than that, striking guys out, just pitching way better than he did in his brief debut last year. But then you got Carson Palmquist on the other side. This is a guy I was really impressed with in the minor leagues, but he has yet to show it at the big league level. Kind of struggled through his first couple of. I mean, he's only been up for a couple of starts so far. So we'll see how he does against San Francisco. But Kyle Harrison, like I said, he's been really impressive this year. I'm glad to see it. And then you've got at 9:38, you've got the Athletics against the Angels. This one is kind of interesting to me when you've got Mitch Spence going up against Jose Soriano. Jose Soriano sporting a 4.11 ERA. He kind of gets it done with smoke and mirrors a little bit. Just, more of a pitch to contact guy and that kind of thing. So I always find him interesting to watch just from that perspective. And then Mitch Spence getting another chance, his second start of the season. After Friday, he looked really good in a start where he went 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 walk, 1 run, and struck out 4. So I think this is a big opportunity for Mitch Spence. And if he can go out there and look really good against the Angels, this is a guy that you may see in the rotation for the rest of the year for the Athletics. I mean, this could go either way, and I think that, I like Mitch Spence, and we'll see how he does on Tuesday, because if he performs well, that could bode well for him the rest of the year. Los Angeles Dodgers are going against San Diego Padres in what may be the game of the night, all the way at 9:40. So it's going to be a late one. I don't know who's starting for the Dodgers. They don't have it listed yet, but whoever it is will be facing off against Dylan Cease. A lot has been made about Dylan Cease's 4.72 ERA, but I actually think that that's just a little inflated from what it should be. When you look at some of his other numbers, they seem to be in line with last year. He's striking out 11 batters per 9 still, and his walks are right in line with what they were last year, and his fielding independent pitching is just 3.20. So he's still looking pretty good out there. Can't wait to check this matchup out. 2 NL West heavyweights, and can't wait for Tuesday night to be able to watch this one. It's still going on. Their Monday night game is still going on while I'm recording this. So don't know who won because it was 6-6 when I looked last. But anyway, this is a heavyweight matchup and what pivotal series for the NL West standings in 2025. Anyway, check us out tomorrow as we do this every night, so that you have it ready for you in the morning. I run down these games and then publish this on the morning every day for each slate's games. If you're checking this out for the first time, please make sure you like the video just to help us out. It doesn't cost you anything. Please do it, and hit that subscribe button on the channel. Like, again, doesn't cost you anything. Please do it. Helps us out, for all the time and effort that we're putting in here. I really appreciate you guys watching. Leave us a comment. Let us know if there's something else you're wanting us to hit on for the slates, for the day's slates each day, because I am only kind of highlighting the pitching matchups. But if there's something else you want us to add in there, be willing to do that. Thank you, guys. Enjoy.